Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our 2 cents. I am Afia K,
And I'm Horizon.
and we decided that everybody else had a podcast, so we should get one too. No, we decided to start a podcast. We've talked about, first of all,
She lying.
we done talked about this. We done been talking about doing this for years, and it was like all these reasons because we both real bad procrastinators. That we just finally knew that it was time for us to get started. And so from here on out, as best we can, we can't be your home girl, where you at, but we could come where you at technically through your phone or any other device that you have. And so we want to have conversations, we want to have fun, and we want your feedback. We'll eventually even get it to where y'all could call and we could talk. But please don't waste your time calling and acting stupid, because I could get ratchet right along with y'all.
No, that's the polished answer. The real answer was what she said the first time was everybody else have a podcast, so why can't we have one?
Yeah, why not? Why not? And I'm just going to be honest, like most of us, I'm polite, but I'm not that friendly. So that being said, that's another thing that I just want to always be taken into consideration. And I'm on a weight loss journey, so it probably is going to be times where I'm cranky for no damn reason. Cause I be hungry, the whole insulin imbalance thing. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So we just wanted you guys to know who we were. Like I said, I'm Afia K.
And Horizon.
And this is our 2 cents. It's just like a butthole. Everybody got one. So here we are with our opinions and our ideas about things, and just being here for you, talking to you about whatever's on our mind at the time. And we always have like real good conversations, and we always felt like it's a lot of things that we hear about and people ask us about, and that we get into these real deep back and forths about. So we wanted to share that and just, have that with like a bigger platform of people. So I was really excited too to get started. It was like always a dream of mine to kind of have a format where I could like talk to people, and I'm always kind of interviewing people even when they're strangers. So this was something that was really exciting to me. So you can tell them why you felt like that.
I feel like what?
Why you felt like this would be something fun to do?
I mean, I just like to talk anyway. So at this point, it's just kind of like we might as well record it and talk.
I just am glad that you all get an opportunity to meet her younger. She was very quiet. So it's always cool when people get an opportunity to see what her natural personality is like. And I'm being nice because, we sharing all that love with you all. And it's always going to be love. So how was your week?
It was fine. At this point, we're only on, what is this, Monday? So
I thought today was Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Oh,
it's
okay.
Tuesday?
Yeah, it is Tuesday. I apologize. Yes, it's Tuesday. Definitely Tuesday. Work has just been work. At this point, I'm tired.
I know. It's just one of them things where everything felt like getting dressed felt like work. I don't know if that's just happening, if that's something that just happens with old age, but getting dressed just felt like work, So now I'm understanding more and more why like older people clothes be looking crazy, because it just, you start getting where you just really don't care.
I don't know if it's old age, because to be honest, I've been like this, as you can see, since we started hanging around each other. I've always been like this. So it's just kind of like, that's too much work. I don't really feel like it. So I don't think it's old age. Yeah.
And I used to always be like riding her back all of the time, because I don't know if this happened to none of y'all, but it'll seem like every time we go somewhere and she's like, dressed, somebody fine be in there. Like, because back then she married now, everybody. Sorry, fellas. She married now, but like at the time, I'm like, the one time, and it'll be like, I'm like, look, and then she like, and I'm like, no, don't be looking down. You didn't want to get dressed. You ain't even got earrings or nothing on. And now he gone to the white girl. So no, I'm just saying,
Well, if he was going to the white girl, he was going with the white girl regardless. So that had nothing to do with how he was dressed.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Exactly.
But I did used to always be riding her. So lately it would be where, she'd have to be kind of on me, about like me not caring and having energy. But when I lost like weight, I wasn't taking vitamins and things like I was supposed to, because I've lost over 100 pounds. But I'm still working on it. So don't be judging me. But I lost weight, and I wasn't taking care of myself properly, and I wasn't eating properly either. So it's like my energy just be real depleted at times. I'm working on it, and I'm trying different things. So if y'all have some ideas of like stuff that I could try, because I was looking at like NMN and NAD, like the being where I can absorb it, because a lot of things I've been reading about was saying that it doesn't absorb a certain way, and I wanted, I missed my glow that I feel like I had, of course, in my 20s, not to mention, like I said, the energy. So if you know like some natural things that could help, I can't believe I'm one of them people that be talking about natural. Oh God, I'm gonna sell out. I'm so sorry, Oreo cookies. Shit. But yeah, so we were talking and we were like discussing different things, and I told you we like to have deep conversations. So one of the things we were talking about was like, and y'all could, chime in wherever you want to, but does it seem like to you that there's like a big disconnect between like older women and younger women? It's not just like older men and young men, but we're gonna like key in on the disconnect and the issues that it seems like it be with women. And trust me, this is not no bash session or nothing like that, and don't come calling making it a bash session either, cause you will get checked. But I just wanted to know like what other people's viewpoints were, if it's something, that's noticed, by us as well, all women. What do you think the disconnect is coming from? Where do you think the disconnect is coming from?
I honestly can't really tell you that, because me personally, I feel like there's always been a disconnect. I think it's probably just more prevalent now because we have people standing on business and actually setting boundaries. So, I mean, if you think about it, in my opinion, can you really say that your mom had a certain type of relationship with her mom? Or even, not just saying using yours in particular, but if you even look at other people in your age group, if you look at their parents and then the grandparents, what kind of relationship dynamic you felt like they had.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that too is because if you look at even how people are parenting now, they're giving their child more of a voice. And back in the day, it was just, okay, you do what I say and that's it. Your mama got on your nerves, she was cussing you out, fighting you, whatever. It was still, okay, but that's your mom. You're still told to respect and, care for her and whatever. So you didn't really put a certain type of distance there, even if you wanted to, because that's your mom. So I honestly don't necessarily know. I kind of feel like that's something that's always been there, but we're just noticing it now because people are actually realizing like, okay, I don't have to take this regardless of what your role is in my life. Whether you're my parent, sibling, whoever, you can get cut off just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, what do you think?
First of all, I'm gonna add in this too. I made sure that when I got her, that was one of the first things that I put like drilled into her head. You don't gotta put up with this from nobody. You don't have to be disrespected by nobody. It does not matter who it is or what it is. You don't have to put up with somebody disrespecting you, and you can check somebody, because I come from an era, I'm an 80s baby, and I come from an era where you had to be respectful, because you'll get slapped in your mouth. If you crying or making a face, they giving you something to cry about. And then, when you mad, you can only go in your room and be like, bah, in your pillow. Like you couldn't really do nothing about, the way you was feeling. And so now it seems like to me, it's a little bit more of a balance, but I also feel like even with there being a balance, there's still a lot more people that need a good chin check with how they navigate things. It's like younger, they didn't give you a voice at all. Mm-hmm. And then the gentle parenting wave has come in and they got too much of a voice.
Exactly. Because, I was just about to say that.
Bro, you could say how you feel, but all that, I hate you and you and all of that all of that disrespect is not necessary to get your point across. When I was raising my children, I made it my business to teach them from a very young age, you don't ever have to bite your tongue. You can always say the way you feel. But I taught them respectful ways of doing that. So if a teacher or someone was disrespectful, because I had teachers that I was a very overweight kid. I had a teacher named Miss Hicks at Martin Luther King Elementary. So if she's still teaching, somebody get her for me. But I had a teacher that pulled me in front of the class, called me stupid, called me fat. And I never went home and said anything because I felt like nothing wasn't going to be done anyway, because this is an adult. Don't nobody care. You know, if I say something, ain't nobody going to believe me anyway. So there was really nobody I felt like defended me. So now that I'm a mom, even when I was a kid, I always knew I was going to be a mom one day. And I just felt like, okay, well, when I have children, I'm going to make sure I listen to them. I'm going to make sure that they could tell me when something is going on. That's how a lot of negative things happened to me in childhood, because I didn't feel like my voice mattered. I didn't feel like my parent cared. People took advantage of me with my parents right in the same vicinity, but I was not the type of child that spoke up and said things. So I feel like that's another big part of where just a genuine disconnect could be there. But bringing it into being about the women, it just seemed like at that time, like nobody really genuinely cared about how you felt, what you wanted. It wasn't up to you, because that was the mindset that they were taught. So once they got older, I don't know about how many of y'all feel like this. I was just to come get the remote, bring me my yogurt, get me something to drink. You know, other than that, why are you in my room? Why are you in my face? I'm on the phone talking, get out.
You know what's crazy? Listening to you say that, and it probably really has nothing to do with it, but another thing that I was thinking about too was the fact that if you think about, I was looking at a post and somebody was talking about how, I guess you'll say more so, you know, people in your age bracket where they were kind of raised low key by like their grandparents, right?
Yeah.
And they were saying because it was saying that, you know, that the grandparents wanted to be more active in the child's life. Okay, no, that's the wrong video I'm thinking of. The video I was thinking of was the video that was saying that it seemed like this generation had parents who didn't want to be parents. So the generation before them, they actually wanted to be parents.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it kind of skipped them. And now it's like you have a bunch of people out here with parents that never really grew up and never really wanted children for real. So now they're older and now their children are having children. And it's like, okay, well, I really don't even have a support system, because now you're really finding out that your mom didn't want to be a mom anyway. That's why you was always at grandma's house. Dang. You know, so it's just, so that also could play into the part of, you know, it being a disconnect, because, and not just with women itself, but even like the mother-daughter dynamic, you know, so that's always going to bridge a gap, because if I didn't want to be a mom anyway, then it's just kind of like, okay, well, why are you coming to me with this? Why are you, you know, we're really treating you more so as, you know, a friend or an acquaintance versus I'm trying to be your mom, I'm trying to parent you. So
yeah, it's weird, because I feel like it's not really one of those things where if you are looking at it, anybody can directly be like, it's directly this, or it directly stems from that.
Right.
I can. One of the things that be making me do this is, I know that it's gonna sound like what, but ride with me. Get in the car. Everybody open your car to get in the car. Okay, so here's my thing. Most of the time, and we grew up, you know, in church, so I'ma just ride straight into faith comes by hearing. Okay, just that part alone. We'll come back to the other part. Faith comes by hearing. If you're consistently hearing something, you will begin to kind of act out a lot of what you're hearing. You will begin to act out what you're observing. That's why for most of us, especially a lot of us African American children, and I'm not saying other races aren't like this, because I've seen Indian mamas, Spanish mamas, but they be getting with them. They be taking off them shoes, them chancletas with the quickness, baby. They be getting with their kids. But from what I have come to pay attention and notice was, it seems like at that time in that era, it was like the way once music began to shift to be more disrespectful, the disconnect got bigger. It was a disconnect where, especially because I grew up in the era where computers and the internet and things became more prevalent in day-to-day life. But it was like once that separated kids from adults, because we were being forced in school. Even let's say I didn't want to be on the computer. That wasn't up to me. This was, you got a book report, you can go on Google, you can go on Yahoo, and you can look this up, and then you bring in that, type out your report. So we were getting more exposed to technology a certain way, and then the VHS went away, the CDs went away. Ride with me now. Okay, so with the music, it seemed like once the music got real extra disrespectful, and being a whore and being disrespectful was glamorized. It's like they just started glamorizing being the most nasty or whatever that you can be. So much so that I know somebody that's like a school principal at a middle school, and they was like that it actually got to the point that it was middle school children in bathrooms having threesomes. It was a time when you was feeling extra hype because you was able to do a little behind a building. Now they having straight up sex because it's in the music and it's in the videos. These things were being presented to children, and disrespect was presented. It was very foreign to us to be looking at a movie and Tommy's like, "I hate you, Mom," and then he run off. I wish when we suck our teeth, that shoe, as you turned, the shoe was coming. So it wasn't none of that. Your parents, you could be like, "What?" And you like, "I ain't saying nothing." So, it was just a different time. And like, that's why I said it seemed like then it was like you couldn't have a voice at all. And then now it's like too much of a voice, because it done got to the point. That's a part of the disconnect, because it done got to the point that now it's like, no, somebody need to slap this one. You don't, and it's not even about violence, but it's like now it's almost like the attack came against order. So rebellion is like glamorized now. And what's more rebellious than just open sex? What's more rebellious than calling people bitches and hoes? What's more rebellious than stealing money? And these were things you were seeing on videos, on movies, and it just got bigger and bigger. A lot of things didn't even come to a child's mind, but you can't help what you see. Once you take it into your gates, now you're seeing it and you're trying it. I mean, I was never really like a kid that would steal or do wrong. I think I stole like $50 one time and didn't even know what to do with it. Went to the store and got some snacks. My behind couldn't even eat. I just had to go on and give her back the money. I done stole $50 out the rent money. Shout out to everybody that know what it's like to be fat and just want to get all the snacks you want to get without having nobody on your back about it. So that was just one time I was like so tired of going in there asking, and we can't get the snacks we wanted. I'm sorry, I veered off. But that's one of the things to me that contributed greatly to there being a disconnect, especially between adults and younger adults, because it's not a huge difference even with us. But to me, one of the things that contributed greatly was the shift there was in music, because music, especially rap, used to be encouraging you to be smart, encouraging you not to be dumb, encouraging you to build your community. And then it went from that to just cussing, ranting, and being naked and just having as much sex as you could possibly have with as many people as you have. So it just seemed like to me that was like one of the main things.
Do you feel like the disconnect with the older generation, or I guess the older women versus the younger, have to do with expectations?
Whose?
Both, honest. Because at first I was going to say, well, maybe the expectations of the older generation, okay. But I kind of want to look at it from both sides, because it's just like, I don't want to be one-sided because I'm technically younger, okay. Or we're technically younger, to say, okay, well, they put in too much expectation on us. But is it that they're requiring something different from us and we're requiring more from them? So that's kind of what I was thinking, like, okay, well, what are we really wanting from them exactly? Because I know for me, especially being younger, anytime anybody was older, my expectation was, okay, wisdom, you're going to teach me, right? Thank you. Exactly. So you're going to give me guidance. You're kind of going to, and not saying that you have to tell me what to do, because nobody likes being told what to do. But at the same time, it was like, okay, well, I'm expecting you to just impart something different in me. And maybe we're at the wrong generation, because like I said before, they still want to be young, so a lot of, the older, women that's, late 40s, 50s at this point, they're still trying to do what they consider the young people doing. So it's just like, are we expecting more from them because of the title that they're supposed to have? And then at the same time, is it like, are they even like this because they still want to be, they want to be young because they didn't get to feel that way? So I don't know. Maybe that's not the way to look at it. But
I hope that's not what's happening. It does, for real, because I'm like, it does seem like they competing with the younger women, and then they're when they do talk. I don't know how many people this done happen to, but most older women, a lot of times, they don't know how to talk to you. They don't know how to talk to you respectfully. And even though they feel...
Before we get into it, just to make sure, what is the classification of the older versus the younger women? Because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a wide variety of ages looking. So if the 20-something-year-old is being like, yeah, the older generation, they talk about the 35s, 40s, we gonna have a problem. So like, what age range are we classifying, the older women and then the younger women?
Okay, well, I'm gonna piss all y'all off right now.
My God, today.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. I actually don't even be looking at it so much as a 19 to 30 or whatever thing, because I've met a lot of dumb old women, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like just immature mindset old women, where it's like, how you don't know that? How I'm putting you up on this? But
you're still considering them like older.
And there's like what you said prior, there's an expectation there, and then but once you begin having a conversation, that's not happening. Like you've never talked to old women, and she starts talking to you like.
No, it has, but that's why I was trying to like give a loose divide of like, because and just to agree technically with what you're saying, because just because you 65, you still got the mentality of a 25-year-old.
Exactly.
So you're only older, and because I don't like considering anybody old, but you're only older in age, but not mindset.
True.
So that's why I'm like, okay, well, are we gonna? Because to me, I was classifying like, all right, the older women as people that's closer towards like very late 40s, like 48 and up, and even though I still don't consider people in their 40s old, I don't even consider people in their 60s old, but
the term older,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Exactly. So I'm expecting, at least by this point, if you're pushing 50, I'm expecting a certain type of wisdom, coming from you. I'm not expecting that really more so from somebody that's like in their mid to late 30s, even early 40s, because I'm about to be 30 and I still kind of feel like I'm 25. Not saying that I have the mentality of that, but the feel of it still kind of feels like, all right, well, there's still more to learn. There's still something that I'm needing from, the higher generation. So I still kind of feel like it's a gray area, low-key, with classifying the older versus the younger. But I just kind of wanted to see like where your mind was at.
No, I actually agree with you. I think
with the breakdown.
48, I don't consider 48 old at all, but I do consider it older. So I would look at it more like, when I know your age, what my expectation would be, and in the later 40s, I'm not expecting your olds to be out there with booty shorts on, with see-through tops on, with half shirts way up here. Where is your old? Sit down. Sit your geriatrics down. Where are you going,
Don't do your friend like that.
I'm like, but no, for real with the clothes. Like, for real, some of y'all, like, I'm not even at all of that. And since I'm big, I can say it. Stop telling big people to be out there like they skinny. What is wrong with you? Let me tell you something. If you big and you got a smaller friend talking about, girl, you can wear a half shirt too. She is trying to make you look bad. If you, first of all, it's plenty of areas that I'm still working on my body, but you should have enough moral capacity. If you was out and it was some big fat dude with his butt crack out and his gut hanging over his shorts, you'll be like, hell no, where he going? That's what he trying to figure out about you. Where are you going? Where are you going? That's in the house. Do that in the house. It's real strange to me for people to keep trying to act like let's normalize being dang near butt naked outside. I don't care what size you are. I don't want to see your titties. I don't want to see your booty. I don't want to see what only your partner should be seeing. I don't know why that's something it's almost like everybody trying to normalize it more and more. And then people like, if you big and you got the confidence, what the hell does that have to do with you looking crazy? It is not, baby. You could be a stick and I don't want to see your nipples. I don't want to see you naked. I don't want to see your bored body out. I don't want to see your perfect figure out. I don't want to see that. And it's like, it's weird. Look at this. Isn't it kind of weird that nowadays people are being encouraged to be damn near naked, but you can't disagree with nobody because it's a hate crime? I can just say I don't want to see it. It's a hate crime. Oh,
to disagree with somebody being naked?
What you mean? Yes. And what's the first thing somebody say if you say anything to them? You jealous and you a hater? No, I'm not. I care about my eyes. I'm a parent, and I've always been a very protective person because nobody really protected me a certain way. I'm a parent. I shouldn't have to be out and see your butt, your titties, and be explaining to a 5-year-old child why this adult supposedly thought that was okay. It's not my job to parent your kids. It's your job to be a decent person in society. And ain't it amazing how people will be out and they'll be having so much to say about what they don't care about until they become a parent? Until they have children. If you really believe that societal-wise children are our tomorrow, then you should be doing your best every day to be out and conduct yourself in a way that someone can actually look up to. That's another problem. Most older women are so busy trying to show what they still got that they can't take their mind away from competing with a younger woman. First of all, I don't even want a man that's looking at some young girl. If you're out and you're naked, you can't be like, why they looking at me? You're naked. What you mean? And you can say what you want, because I be under so many videos and be seeing women going in about a man thick print. Don't play. You out there. It's people whose whole page is dedicated to them lusting after dudes that would throw up if you came somewhere trying to take your clothes off at him. I'm just saying, it's like it's not attractive anymore to be an adult. It's not attractive. And I'm like, who would be behind something like that? Only somebody immature and ignorant. And that also creates a disconnect, because if can't nobody say anything to you and your automatic thought process is that they're jealous or they're hating, maybe they actually care about you. Do you know how high sex trafficking is? And it doesn't make it okay for somebody to do that to anybody. But we should also be encouraging you. It's like people be picking and choosing when they want you to act like an adult, when they want you to act like a woman, when men want you to be a slut, whore, freak of the year until it's time to find a wife. And then they don't want nothing on your body count. So make it make sense. It's in theory, a lot of the older women, the first thing they'll tell you is he gonna come after you. He's gonna want sex. But if you're not talking to real women, I've been blessed to know real women. My baby gets to know real women. And to me, it's important if you see a woman and you can tell there's something she doesn't know, not just to speak to her, but encourage her, build her, black, white, Indian, Rican, Asian, whatever. Encourage her, give us some of the game, because a lot of times they don't know, and then they don't even know what they're doing wrong. And then the epidemic gets even bigger of these young women that are lost and confused. But if an older woman say something to you, some of us, you can't say nothing to nobody.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to come to you with respect anyway. I'm going to lovingly say anything I feel, and I'm always going to leave you feeling built up, but everybody doesn't feel that way. And that's one of the first things to me that needs to be adjusted. So, because if you're negative, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Women come to me because I want you built. I want to see great. I want to see you not letting somebody play with your heart, your emotions, because there needs to be more examples of real women, not just everybody out here and it's all about sex, because let's keep it real. Sex is only a few moments, but it's so many things geared toward that and jealousies and things like that, that it doesn't have to be. And I am so sorry if you older. I am so sorry, and you didn't get to be young, but it's over. It's over. It's time to let go and let them have it and help them as much as you can, because it might not seem like it, but they really need us. Mm-hmm. They really need us, and women aren't gonna come to you if you at the club with them. And I'm not saying don't go and have fun, but I'm saying if your mindset, y'all are both competing for the same guy. Like, where does that work at? I like older men anyway, and I'm attracted to men usually that were older than me, in that phase of my life. So I feel like the disconnect wouldn't be as bad if it was like more respectful ways of doing things on both sides. But now it's just like ratchet is so glamorized that it does seem like it's very difficult to have a conversation with anybody about anything. At least that's what it looked like to me. Do you feel like there's always like been a disconnect? Or do you feel like from what you've heard historically, like that there was a different like spans in time where it wasn't as prevalent as it is today?
No, I think I'm probably gonna lean towards it's probably always been that way. And as I'm saying it, it's funny because as I'm saying it, I kind of feel like I don't know if I really agree with that. So
it's okay. You more than that. That's part
I'm
of
like,
being
what is him? I'm like, no, we should have saved him. No, but it's like a part of me does feel like it's probably always been there. Okay, I'll even go as far as to say, yes, it's always been there, but it's over the generations, it's grown larger. So it probably was like a small crack. And then now we're getting to where, we almost Red Sea here. So where, as far as the disconnect goes, I think, maybe before, because, you had that mindset of this is the role, we honor, we respect, whatever. Yeah. So it's like we still pushed past dealing with whatever negativity came from dealing with them, and a lot of the times I think, and that's why I will say maybe it was just probably a crack before, because I think before they leaned more into the community, into, we're going to have our village help raise the kids, help do this, help do that, so I think that I don't really want to go there, but I kind of feel like sweeping stuff under the rug is probably one of the things that helped bridge, not bridge, but help to widen that gap.
That was deep there. Don't act like it wasn't.
Yeah, so I feel like, because, think about it. A lot of, women have a Me Too story, so not saying that that's what this episode is about, but a lot of women have a Me Too story. And when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, here you are with your community. You have the people that you go to, that you talk to, whatever. Yeah. You get this traumatic thing happen. You go to them, and what they tell you is, be still and know. They pat your head and they be like, oh well, girl, you just got to get on with your life. Wait a minute. So at some point, somebody's going to be on something. Okay, but this is not how we deal with it. So, and then at that point it's like, I don't think I like this, and then we start to kind of move away from, maybe I don't need to be, taking your advice, because if this is what the situation is, then I think I'm gonna have to, push back. And then even with, I noticed too, with a lot of, like the younger generation taking their mental health more serious, it's like, okay, well, when you try to bring that up to them, there's some families, oh my God, there's some families you can't even mention the word therapy to. You can't even be like, yeah, I'm seeing a therapist. You know, they gon', what's
wrong with you?
For real, why you out there telling people our business? Wait a minute. What this got to do? You make it seem like the therapist on the whole, like, yeah, girl. And then Susan mama was in there. No. Like, we just want something to help us get better. And I think when you start looking more into, you know, things like mental health and, you know, working on things that people probably told you to just, you know, bypass, sleep under the rug, whatever, you kind of start to see where, like, there's a lot of other flaws, and then it starts to still have you withdraw. So I think that's what I think. What do you think?
Okay, well, I do think that the disconnect has always been there. I feel like it is much more prevalent now because there's different, to me, it's not like one thing that is the thing. I feel like there's a bunch of different avenues of things, and one of the biggest things, which is such a weird thing, but one of the biggest things is silence. Because the sweeping under the rug is silence. Silence was always encouraged because it was generations ahead, you know. And to me, the silence, and I could be wrong, you know, you can completely feel free to disagree. But to me, the silence, the timing really stemmed way back from slavery stuff. Because then it was okay to do whatever, however you wanted. And then as time progressed and it went on, even though we were given more freedoms and more this and more that, there was still certain things in the mindset of that training that made it to the Black home. And so I can't speak for why, you know, Cindy and you know, and Ralphie weren't saying anything, but the main way that you got treated in our communities were, you could come to somebody and be like, oh, such and such touched me, Uncle blah, blah, blah did this. And pretty much what you got told was, okay, go to school. Okay, because we couldn't do that part. It's like they would just redirect to something else. It was not really one of those things, especially when it was in families, because I've been raped and I've been molested in the family. And, you know, now that I'm an adult, I know that had I said something and you know, things maybe would have actually went a totally different way, but I wasn't safe. A lot of us grew up in a home where there were adults in the house, but y'all was alone. You know what I mean? Just like you can be married and be a single mother. You know, somebody in the house, but you're alone. Somebody's around, but you're doing everything by yourself. You're navigating by yourself. And I think one of the pluses about the generation of now, just giving y'all those flowers, is the fact that the mental health thing is something that's important to this generation, and that they're doing more. But it's being that they've opened the door to so many other avenues for you to redirect your focus away from being better. And each day you can push back, like getting up and being like, well, you know, today I thought about getting raped, but instead of thinking about that, I'm gonna just roll this J. Instead of thinking about that, I'm gonna just snort this cocaine. Instead of thinking about that, I'm gonna just have sex with another random person.
And not gonna lie, and that's probably the mindset of that was probably the mindset of maybe more so people that was like, you know, between late 70s to maybe super early 90s. You know, that probably was their thought process or their remedy of, you know, dealing with those things. So it was just like, yeah, we're not gonna deal with this, so my daddy we about to go, you know, do this crazy wild thing, you know. So and not saying that there's not people in I guess the younger generation that is taking on that mentality, but since the mental health thing is there, you know, you're kind of having a lot more people leaning into trying to fix that trauma. And maybe that's what it is too, with, you know, you have the people that wants to fix the trauma, and then the people that's so used to, you know, band-aiding it and throwing it into the room, as we like to say, where it's kind of like, you want me to deal with it? Absolutely not. Yeah. get somebody else to do
Yeah,
it. You know, so
yeah.
girl,
And then
like
you have a breakdown. though.
right, exactly. Which I can understand because it's just like that stuff isn't really easy. And especially if you're so used to, you know, not having to tap into that thing. And then here you are 20, 25 years later. And, you know, somebody coming in your face talking about, yeah, you know, that stuff you don't like to think about, you know, we going to have to, no, like, who do you think you are? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that, you know, that kind of leans more into the whole, yeah, no, like, we just gonna see eye to eye. We just not gonna see eye to eye on it.
True. I
So,
do think that there's a lot of different facets to it. And I feel like mine, it wasn't drugs that I ran to, but it was food. It was something that I had easy access to, and I would like be sneaking off eating, like binge eating, and then I'd be crying, you know, and it's like even now, and I navigate dealing with younger me like she's her own person, because I'm like, there wasn't anybody for little her, you know. So it's like, it's sad, but all I felt like I would have is like the friends and stuff around me. And I feel like that's another major thing that has created a disconnect, because I feel like young people don't feel safe coming to us sometimes. I feel like they don't feel like they're going to get understanding and feel heard, because a lot of times I've had a lot of people talk to me and tell me, oh, well, you know, I finally told her what happened, and she asked me what I was wearing. She asked me, why was I still up at 10 o'clock? She asked me, well, if I felt uncomfortable, why didn't I just go home? You don't know why somebody didn't just go home. Like you don't know what hell in the home life already was. A lot of times people don't put themselves empathetically in another person's shoes or mindset, which thank God that is something I do almost anytime somebody tells me something. Like, how would I feel if this was me? And that's why leading with love is always an important thing. Leading with trying to hear somebody out, because you never know if that person has ever dealt with anybody that makes them heard. But I feel like with older women, when younger women are being open and they're pouring out, I honestly think sometimes that taps into that wound that she's never dealt with. And sometimes that's why the cutoff is there, because now you're talking to me about something. I'm not saying this is everybody, but I've known a lot of women in my age group where they have went through things, but they've never really talked to anybody about it. So it's always an important thing to me to be like, why? And I'm not saying it's okay on either side to make someone feel like their experience was not important, but I just always tend to ask a lot of questions because I like to know. So I just feel like there's different angles and avenues where we were taught, not like she said, to just sweep stuff under the rug. And we're not even going to get on how many cruel things happen to men, not just black men, but men. Men, to me, are always kind of expected to kind of suck it up and deal with it. And then a lot of them have not been able to openly express the ways that they have been beat down or felt broken or felt overly stressed out. That's why a lot of times, even statistically, it's a lot of men that'll just end it all. And it's like, I feel like even societal wise, that should be something that's being discussed more, not just why, because I feel like I'm a strong person. And as a mom, I have sons. And I always want them to feel like they could say how they feel, but it is not always a cry and whine or whatever, because I want them to be able to effectively communicate without emotions taking over. And people are always like, oh, women are emotional. Men are emotional. Women, you know, we love hard. Men love hard too. And a lot of times they'll love in that, and they are in the same turmoil, just handling it a different way than we do. As women, I feel like a lot of times it's not room for them sometimes to feel secure in saying anything. And a lot of times when a man is woman hopping, sometimes that is a part of the fact that there's a disconnect. There might not be a dad. There might be a dad that doesn't talk. He might have paid bills, but he didn't care how you felt. He didn't care about what was really going on with you. And now you're an adult, but emotionally you're 5, you're 6, wherever you last got broken at. So I feel like just societal wise, that's a part of what the disconnect is right there, is because we're not trying to find common ground with one another. And it's something I work on day to day. And I feel like it's important for each individual person, because if you're working on you, then things around you will begin to shift because you're working on you. I know that was a mouthful, but it was the truth. It was the truth.
Agreed.
So I do think that it has lasted, and I do think that it can actually get, to me, it's worse now. It's much worse. I watch a lot of police videos, you know that. So I like looking at police videos, like when people be getting arrested. It is so many people now that get arrested and they be acting like they 6 years old. They screaming, "No, let me out!" They kicking, they banging their head and the stuff, and it's like, if it's not evident, mental health, like honestly, I know a lot of states don't have the money, but it'd be so great if there was just a whole department in the police that was just for mental health folk. Because a lot of times, most of what they're dealing with is people that are psychologically and imbalanced. And it could be hormonal, and then they've been pacifying these things with drugs. Some people are homeless, even those that are not. Some people are living in households with adults, and the adults are letting them still conduct themselves like they 12, and they're getting arrested 40 years old talking about call their mama. Like, what you mean? And you still living there and you're still babying them. Like help them to be able to, the whole purpose of raising someone is to be able to help them stand on their own. And I think that where there's a disconnect a lot is that a lot of people aren't raising kids to stand on their own. They're making children their personal, support animals. You know how people got
not
the support.
Emotional support.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are doing that with their children, where they just want to have somebody around. They babying, oh, bendito, and he's 40 years old. Like, get that nigga out your basement. Like, and then you're trying to understand why they're not more productive in society, which is why in the past people were more productive, but they were more emotionally and mentally scarred and spiritually messed up. But now there's becoming more of a balance because we are doing therapy and things like that. But I feel like if each side is coming more towards one another in a loving way, in a genuine, concerned way, I think it wouldn't be the disconnect it is. But I mean, we never know. And it really is. I don't like that societally everybody's on different sides pointing their finger instead of looking in the mirror. Go on, we love us some Michael Jackson. So are you starting with the man in the mirror? Because most of the time, that's where there needs to be an adjustment. Like Baby said, he's asking him to change his ways. Michael was not in that song talking about what the neighbor across the street was doing. And I'm just saying, if you in your own mindset are focusing on being a better you, being a healthier you, being a more open and honest together you, and doing that, leading with love, you're going to get back what you put out. The seed you sow, you'll reap. Whatever you plant, that's what's going to grow. And if that's negative, that's negative. If that's positive, it's positive. And that's just the rules and the way it works, from not even in a religious aspect, but in all religions and all everything. What goes around comes around. What you put out, you get back. So you can't allow somebody else's negativity and stuff to stop you from being loving and being kind and being caring. If we are more like that, I do feel like it could get better. Will it? I guess that's up to you as an individual.
Keep passing the bed monitor. I just want to check on you. You okay?
Yeah, we got to check on my sweetheart, my boy.
So just to, wrap up the video, I did have a few topics I wanted to leave the video with, just because I didn't want to necessarily have the discussion on camera. I kind of wanted it to be something that we can discuss in the comments and even amongst ourselves, and not even just having a conversation, but just taking it back and reflecting on it, just to see how we feel about it and even people around you. So some of the questions that I wrote down was, more so leaning into like mother-daughter type relationships, not just with other women in the community, but should daughters always take their mother's advice? Can mothers and daughters even truly be friends? Because and I like that question more so because some people lean more so to the right or to the left. You know, they don't look at it as, okay, we can have a mother-daughter relationship and still be, you know, have a friendship, because of course at a certain point your adult child is going to be an adult. So you kind of transition a little bit more into like a friend role, but still with parenting. And then of course everybody knows, but how do you feel about setting boundaries with families? And the last question was, what do you think there's one thing that each generation can stop assuming about the other? So that was just some questions I wanted to, well, open-ended questions I wanted to leave for this. What do you think as far as
In my remark about it, I feel like if there's mutual respect, then anything's possible.
I agree.
And I think everything should start with that. But there definitely is going to have to be boundaries, and there will definitely have to be a point where the parent accepts the fact that you have to parent an adult differently because
Yes.
they're adults, and it's not your job anymore to tell them what to do. You give them the advice as best as you can, and you support them in whatever their choices and decisions are. I feel like it would really help, and it would create a balance. But that's just my personal theory and thought. It's a lot, I would love to know what some of you think. And if anybody that just want to tell me how much I be running my mouth, you wasting your time, because this is just how much I talk. So it's just going to have to be what it is. But honestly, that's what I thought. And I had a good time talking to y'all. Soon we are going to have it where, you guys could call in and we can actually have like an open forum, because I wanted to be able to, I love hearing other people's stories and getting to know them. So it's our desire to really get to know you. Thanks for listening.
And we'll definitely leave our email so that way you guys can submit questions, different topics, because of course this is called Our Two Cents for a reason. We're going to be, talking about anything that just comes to mind for the most part. So sometimes it'll be a topic like it was today, and sometimes we'll just be rambling because, we're wired and we've been up, dealing with whatever we've been doing, and, we come on the camera talking. But please feel free to leave us comments, send us DMs, send us emails with anything that you want us to bring up. And then, of course, if it makes the cut, you'll definitely be hearing about it on our next episode.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for tuning in to Our Two Cents.
Thank you very much. And we'll see y'all on the next one.
Bye.
All right.
I'm with it.